We are at a point right now where the level of desperation that is coming from Netanyahu is reaching a fever pitch, to the point at which he's going on national television pleading with us to go to war on behalf of Israel against Iran. Here he is with Brett Baer the other day.
The nuclear threat. I want to talk about President Trump. You just said Iran tried to assassinate President Trump twice. Do you have intel that the assassination attempts on President Trump were directly from Iran?
Through proxies, yes. Through their intel, yes. They want to kill him. Look, he's enemy number one. He's a decisive leader. He never took the path that others took to try to bargain with him in a way that is weak, giving them basically a pathway to enrich uranium, which means a pathway to the bomb, padding it with billions and billions of dollars. He took up this fake agreement and basically tore it up. He killed Qasem Soleimani. He said, made it very clear, including now, you cannot have a nuclear weapon, which means you cannot enrich. He's been very forceful. So for them, he's enemy number one.
Yeah.
Look, they also tried to kill me, but I'm his junior partner.
When did
they
you
understand that President Trump?
I'm his junior partner. You know, before it always would seem like Trump was the one that was pulling out the chair for Bibi to sit down. Now Trump is talking as if he's in the shoes on the other foot. At least that's what it sounds like to me. To me, this all sounds like desperation. And whether or not this man fled to Greece, again, it's alleged that that's what he did, that he's not actually in Israel right now, and I am sure he's not. That I'm pretty safe in saying I guarantee he's not in Israel right now. I think that they're shocked. I think that they are surprised. But we're going to get to another clip and show you the idiosyncrasies between this with Iran and Iraq 23 years ago. It's the same thing all over again. They're coming up with these bullshit. Do you have any proof that people were trying to assassinate Trump? My proxies told me, and my proxies who I pay very handsomely to tell people that this is what is actually going on. No proof, no names, no nothing. Just trust me. I know what I'm talking about.
Trump is a great threat to Iran's plans to weaponize nuclear weapons and use them.
When did you tell President Trump you were going to launch these strikes?
Look, I've been in constant contact with President Trump. We've known each other for many years. And obviously, we informed our American friends and President Trump, our great friend, ahead of time. We did. He knew about it, of course.
Well, if he knew about it, Mr. War Criminal, wouldn't that make him an accessory to war crimes? To not actually step up and say, maybe you shouldn't do that. You totally shouldn't do that. It's a really bad idea. There's a part of me that isn't completely convinced that he told him that they were going to do it when they did it. He may have said, we may be launching an attack, and then just went ahead and did it anyway. There is nothing to trust with this man. Now, maybe it's bad lighting, but my God, that guy looks like a fucking ghost. Maybe he's dead already.
I mean, there were reports that President Trump kind of helped you achieve your strategic surprise by publicly urging you not to attack when he already knew you had decided to do it. So you were closely coordinating with the U.S. throughout this process.
Look, we're fully coordinated, but understand that America, under President Trump, will make the decisions that are best for America. And that's the way it is. He understands that I, as the Prime Minister of Israel, the one and only Jewish state, must make the decisions that are important for the survival of my country, and he will do what is best for America. That is a relationship of mutual respect and mutual confidence.
Yeah, sure. Well, he wasn't done. He decided to go on ABC News as well and spew his bullshit there.
Officials tell us that the president flatly rejected a plan, an opportunity that the Israelis had to take out the supreme leader. Do you understand his concern? My understanding is his concern is that this would escalate the conflict beyond where it is already.
It's not going to escalate the conflict. It's going to end the conflict. We've had half a century of conflict spread by this regime that terrorizes everyone in the Middle East, has bombed the Aramco oil fields in Saudi Arabia, is spreading terrorism and subversion and sabotage everywhere. That's the forever war is what Iran wants. And they're bringing us to the brink of nuclear war. In fact, what Israel is doing is preventing this, bringing an end to this aggression. And we can only do so by standing up to the forces of evil. Look, democracies have had to learn this lesson. You know, they faced a tyrannical regime, a radical, fanatic regime. For 40 years, I've been...
I'm telling you, it's like he's reading off of a goddamn teleprompter. But the supreme leader of Iran, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, Netanyahu was suggesting that we should assassinate him. And of course, another regime change war, destabilization of the region, just like Iraq, same bullshit, telling him that the region will be forever greater as a result. Just pretend like you didn't see anything that's happened over the last 20, 25 years.
Thing. Actually, 3 years after the establishment of this radical Islamist Ayatollah regime in Tehran, I said that the greatest danger, not only to the survival of my country, but to the peace of the world, is Iran's pursuit of nuclear weapons. And they are on the brink of achieving that. So imagine what they're doing now without nuclear weapons. Chanting death to America without nuclear weapons. Imagine what will happen if they had nuclear weapons and the ICBMs, the intercontinental ballistic missiles, to deliver it to every place on Earth. We're preventing the most terrific war imaginable, and we're bringing peace to the Middle East. And I believe that after our action, we're going to be able to bring the Middle East to new heights that nobody even imagined. You know, make the Middle East great again.
Does anybody buy this? I just want to know, anybody outside of the Zionist cult, does anybody actually buy any of this? Does anybody like this guy? Does anybody actually look into him and know the truth about what he's up to and why he's doing this? Anybody? And of course, it was even pointed out in the chat, no one's going to push back on him. No one's going to say, well, you know, Mr. Prime Minister, that isn't exactly the truth. You are saying such and such. No, everyone understands that we are one nation under Israel blackmail. Period. But let's not forget that we've heard these stories before. We've heard the stories about a nation in the Middle East is trying to get a nuclear weapon or weapons of mass destruction, and we must invade and we must end their regime. Where have we heard that before? Here's where we heard it.
Information from a high-ranking Iraqi nuclear engineer who had defected revealed that despite his public promises, Saddam Hussein had ordered his nuclear program to continue. The evidence indicates that Iraq is reconstituting its nuclear weapons program. Saddam Hussein has held numerous meetings with Iraqi nuclear scientists, a group he calls his nuclear mujahideen, his nuclear holy warriors. Satellite photographs reveal that Iraq is rebuilding facilities at sites that have been part of its nuclear program in the past. Iraq has attempted to purchase high-strength aluminum tubes and other equipment needed for gas centrifuges, which are used to enrich uranium for nuclear weapons.
Do you think I'm capable of defining exactly what is a centrifuge? If I was asked on the spot, I'm not sure about that. I'd have to think about it real hard.
If the Iraqi regime is able to produce, buy, or steal an amount of highly enriched uranium a little larger than a single softball, it could have a nuclear weapon in less than a year. And if we allow that to happen, a terrible line would be crossed. Saddam Hussein would be in a position to blackmail anyone who opposes his aggression. He would be in a position to dominate the Middle East. He would be in a position to threaten America. And Saddam Hussein would be in a position to pass nuclear technology to terrorists.
You know, it almost sounds like if you replace Saddam with Netanyahu, it would still make a lot of sense. In fact, it would make total sense. It would actually explain the entire game perfectly. Everything he's saying about Saddam is actually what you should be saying about Netanyahu.
Some citizens wonder, after 11 years of living with this problem, why do we need to confront it now? And there's a reason. We've experienced the horror of September the 11th.
And there it is. Everything's about September 11th, just like everything's about October 7th. And repeat, rinse, repeat, do it over and over again, and continue to convince people that there is no other way. There is no peace. There is only war, endless war, because that's what makes us rich.